obviously some words exchanged within the handshake after Penn State just, tapped up on some Maryland ass. And that, again, pains me to say, seeing that I'm from Maryland, I get it. Look, Penn State, they got it this year, but they beat Maryland's ass pretty well. And there was some tension at the handshake. And it brings me to what we got to understand as coaches, as adults, as the adults in the business and the folks that it's our responsibility to set a quality example for the young people. There was, as a matter of fact, let me just play it and then I'll respond to it, and then we'll get to the Ohio State Michigan recap.
It didn't look like it was the smoothest post-game handshake. Is that the statistics and their ones still in there, or can you explain that last touchdown?
Yeah, I get it, right? At the end of the game, we throw a touchdown. I get it. But a couple things I will say. My job is to put the 3s and 4s in the game. But when the 3s and 4s get to go in the game, they get to play football. Those guys deserve to play football. Your 1s are in the game. You're trying to score. We're trying to score. On top of that, you're playing cover 0. If you don't want, play cover 2. So I'm good with it. And on top of that, there's also a change in college football. We are trying to play as long as we can, make the playoffs, and be seeded as high as possible. And scoring as many points and a point differential matters. All that matters. And if you don't get that, it's really not my problem. So, W, 1-0. I'm good with it. Anybody that's not, that's.
Hey. All right, let me give you guys some backstory with this one, because this one was actually interesting for me to watch. All right, my first ever camp going to the University of Maryland as a kid. James Franklin, the gentleman that you just saw in the video, he was actually the offensive coordinator at the University of Maryland. And I remember, meeting him then and actually getting into the business a little bit myself. And as folks who were like kind of the older heads, the football people that were around Maryland really wanted James Franklin for that University of Maryland job. I mean, they spoke very, very highly of him. Now, I met Loxley when I was really in the business. I was an FBU scout, and it was around the time that DJ Durkin had dealt with his situation. I think it was DJ Durkin who dealt with his situation where they had to let him, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was DJ Durkin. No. So Etzel. No, excuse me, Etzel. Etzel had already gotten fired, and Coach Loxley, I believe, took the intern job. Somebody had gotten fired. He had took the internship as interim head coach at the University of Maryland. Then they brought in DJ Durkin, and then he had his situation, and they brought Loxley back in to be the head coach. And so, I met him through all that, being a Maryland guy and all that kind of stuff. And my take on it is this. I remember reading this way back when I just graduated from college. I was a college scout. I was out there recruiting. I was in the business. I'm like reading book after book, and I'm just this was literally all I did was just going out recruiting and really developing my lane in the business of college football. And I remember reading Lou Holt's book. It's titled "Winning Every Day," one of the best books I've ever read. Really did. I have absolutely no issues with it. If you're getting your ass whooped, stop us. And that's the mentality. And that's where, again, I think if you're Loxley, you got to take it. You got to eat it. You got to simply eat it. And you don't get to have, if you put up a competitive fight and you actually had a team that competed with them, then you shouldn't be worrying about that stuff.